Having clause is to groups what the where clause is to rows. Rather than applying to individual rows, having operate on the result of aggregate functions. For each type of drug, in the drug table, list the number of drugs of that type and the lowest price of any drug of that type, provided that the minimum price is at least 0.15. So the question is asking you to list the number of drugs for each type and the lowest price of any drug of that type, and by giving a condition that the minimum price is at least 0.15. So from the keyword, we know that for each type of drug, so in order to select each type, we have to use the clause called group by. So here again, we have another condition. The minimum price should be at least 0.5. Let us run this query. Select type. So we are grouping by type. So the type is placed in the select clause. Count drug name will give you the total number of items, and the minimum price will give you the lowest price of the drug. And without this condition, let us try this one without the having. So you can see here the result. So it is giving you for each type how many numbers are there and the lowest price. Similar query we have done before. So without conditions, so here it is giving you all the lowest prices such as 0.18, 0.01, 0.42, 0.95, 0.02. And if we give one more condition, for example, here you can see it is giving you, let me delete this. Okay. So you can see here we have added a new condition having minimum price. We have one more condition. See, having is always used to compare the result from aggregate functions. Here we can see the aggregate function minimum price, and we're checking the minimum price is greater than 1.5. So let us run this query again after the new condition. You can see the prices what is less than 0.15 are eliminated. So let me just comment this line and run again. So you can see here you have a value 0.01 and you can see 0.02. So by including this, the last condition, you are able to see you are eliminating the values less than 0.15. The logical processing model, the initial specified tables, from create an intermediate table from all the tables specified in the form clause by forming all possible combinations of choosing one row from each table. Thus, we have the first intermediate table as a result from the two initial specified tables. The where copy each row which satisfies the search condition specified in the where clause to create the second intermediate table. The second intermediate table is created. So then we have a group by, so it is grouping, copy each of the rows in the second intermediate table into a third intermediate table, grouping them according to the values in the column specified in the group by clause. Thus we have the, after the group by filtering, we have the third intermediate table. Now from the third intermediate table, it is checking the having clause. Copy each row, each group of rows which satisfies the having search condition into a fourth intermediate table. Thus the fourth intermediate table has been created. Then finally the select. Replace each set of rows in the same group with a single row by applying the value expressions in the select clause to each group. Value expressions may only contain the group by columns or aggregate functions. Thus we have the final table. So we have an exercise here. Are the following three queries well formed? If not, why not? So the first, let us see the first query. Select type, comma, count drug name as number, minimum price is lowest price from drug group by type. having minimum price greater than 0.15 and drug code not in B23, B48. So it says that here um, the first part of the query is the similar one what we have seen in the SQL. So we have seen the result also, but we have added the AND operator and we have added one more condition. The new condition is drug code not in B23, B48. So this is not possible because the drug code cannot appear in the having clause because we haven't used this drug code in the group by. So let us run this query and see the result. What is the error? While I'm running this query, it is giving me an error. Could not execute the statement. Let us see what is the mistake. Function or column reference to drug code must also appear in a group by. So as I told you before, the column names appeared in the group by clause should be accessed in the select clause as well as in the having clause. So this is not a well-formed query. So we have the second one, select type, count record as number, average price is average price from drug, where max drug name greater than G, group by type, having average price greater than or equal to 30. So this is not a valid because as I told you, where clause cannot have what the aggregate function. So in order to use the aggregate function result comparison, we have a clause called having. So this query is not a well-formed one because the reason is, so let us run and see what is the mistake. We run the query and see what's the mistake here. Could not execute statement, invalid use of an aggregate function. So the aggregate function is used here along with the where clause, which is not allowed in SQL. We have the third one, C, exercise number 3. Select type, sum price as total price from drug, group by type. Of course, the first part is correct because we know that the type is appeared in the group by as well as in the select clause. And the condition is where drug name greater than. So drug name is not an aggregate function, it's just a column name. So the column name comparisons are allowed, conditions are allowed in the where clause. And we have having some price greater than 1.0 or type in placebo or painkillers because we giving two conditions, either having some price greater than 1 or we're giving another option, type in placebo. So we need to display the only two type of drugs. I have a mistake here because I have to use yeah, okay. Using the prescription table in the hospital database, write and run a query that answers the following request. For each patient with more than one prescription, list the patient ID, number of prescriptions, and the date of the earliest prescription. So here you are checking for each patient. So you have to group by the patient ID with more than one prescription. So you need to calculate total number of prescription using the count. So at least the count should be what greater than at least one it is. So list the patient ID, number of prescriptions, and the date of the earliest prescription. That means the minimum start date. So total number of prescription can be determined using the count aggregate function. Date of the earliest prescription can be determined using the minimum aggregate function. So let us run this query. So it is giving you the patient ID and the total number of prescriptions as well as the earliest start date of the prescription. How would you modify the query you wrote in part A to execute treatments administered by the member of staff whose staff number is 462? So you can just write the query in the same way. Select patient ID, count staff for the total number of prescription, and the minimum start date for the earliest start of prescription from the prescription table where staff number not equal to 462, group by patient ID and having count greater than 1. So we just add a new condition using the where clause. How would you modify the query of part B to exclude the patient whose patient identifier is P39? The same thing, you can use a new where clause here, where patient ID not equal to P39 in order to eliminate the details of patient P39.